Welcome to Gaming Daddies, the podcast where fatherhood meets the digital grind. I'm Tedder, one of your 3 digital gaming daddies, and each week the 3 of us will sit down and talk about what the games we're playing, how we balance gaming with family life, and the big conversations happening in the gaming world. Today's episode is all about the community questions and future of Gaming Daddies podcast, what direction we see us going, and what the community wants to see more of. We will discuss what has worked and maybe what hasn't worked, and talk about some serious thoughts given in previous episodes by you, the community. So grab your controller, or maybe just your 1 hour of free peace and quiet, and let's hit start.
Doing it live. Love this.
Here we go again.
Driven. Oh, yes. Here we go. So, boys, let's just jump in. So, do you think things like Nintendo Power and other gaming magazines like it were part of the gaming experience in their heyday, like in our heyday, or even now? I mean, and think about what kind of gaming magazines that were, available to us. Like of course, Nintendo Power is probably the biggest one. Electronic Gaming Monthly, or EGM. Your PC gaming magazines. I'm sure there were specific titles. I just can't remember. PlayStation even had a magazine at some point. Game Informer was a little bit later on. Xbox had a magazine for a little bit, and things like that. So, Jay, what are your thoughts on that?
Back in the 80s when Nintendo was it. I mean, after Atari 2600, there were some things out for that console, but then I remember reading Nintendo Power, Game Pro, was it Electronic Gaming, I think, was one of the magazines. Electronic Gaming Monthly. Those were like lifelines, I think. It was pre-internet where you could just jump on YouTube and check out the others' experience in game that you might be interested in. I think it connected us to a larger gaming world that you just couldn't access anywhere else back then. Before walkthroughs, before social media, those pages were how you discovered the secrets, the cheat codes, the releases, all those things. So,
were you a big magazine reader?
I think so. Yeah. Back then, I mean, that was how we kind of got through it. If you got tied up, and it was all that time you had to wait. Like now, you get that instant gratification of, I'm stumbling through this mission, YouTube. You get it right then and there. Back then, you maybe stumbled upon something that no one else had. You'd get into a magazine and go, no one else is having trouble with this, so I can't find an answer. It might be something really minute, I guess.
Back in our day, we had to go digging for our solutions.
Yeah. And, and I'll tell you something too. I know we talked briefly back in the retro episode about the text adventure games. And Infocom used to create Zork games and a lot of those, and those they put out their own magazine for their games. And so when you would get those magazines, you could go through, and it came with a highlighter pen or this magic pen or marker that you could run it over where it would say where the spoiler was, and then it would highlight, and then it would just magically appear. It lasted for a while, and then after several weeks or whatever, I guess they didn't perfect that technology, because then it would start to fade again and it would be gone forever. It would be, the pen didn't work again. I'm not really sure how they did that. That was really cool. But if we ever
really
needed,
cool.
Yeah. If you'll have to research it. I may look it up while we're on another question or someone's answering. But Infocom was the name of the company. They put out their own magazine for the old PC text games. But getting back to your original question, Nintendo Power. I remember, Game Pro, Electronic Gaming Monthly, I think was one that because it branched out beyond Nintendo a little bit into PC gaming into the 90s.
I really liked. I really, really enjoyed those gaming magazines growing up, especially just thumbing through them, like not even really just kind of looking for solutions to anything, just kind of like thumbing through them and seeing all the game reviews, the kind of reading through the interview type things for new releases or whatever, and seeing all the screenshots or the pictures for upcoming games or games that just released. You're like, man, I really want that. That's how it like hyped me up for stuff that was around and stuff that was hot, and like even like. One of the coolest things, maybe one of the most trivial things, is like seeing what the cover would look like who made the cover of this month's EGM magazine and how cool does it look. And, even with like in like they still had E3 back then, but like you said, it wasn't like all this instant gratification where you could just like stream it or whatever. You weren't getting coverage of that unless you were there or happened to be on like G4 or something, and like they had a program that was like kind of covering the highlights. Like you got your coverage in these game magazines, and so it was really, really cool. And like in the back sections of each issue would be like letters to the editor, or like questions, or like you said earlier, cheat codes and things like that, and teases for things coming up. And as I got older, I still really enjoy like getting a Game Informer, and subscribing to that and getting those in the mail every so often, or picking them up and just kind of thumbing through still, because I just think it's so cool to do all that stuff. And then just kind of seeing like the collector's market for that, like people collecting the old Nintendo Powers, and like even the first issue or the first edition of Nintendo Power that had like, it had Mario on it, but like the cover art on it was really cool looking. And so like, and seeing the value of that kind of stuff, collector's items and things. So it's really quite nice. I still have a stack of Game Informers on one of my bookshelves, I think, from several years back. What about you, Jarrett?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it definitely was. I don't know necessarily that I used it the same way where I was using it for cheat codes or anything like that. Mine was more entertainment based, wanting to see what was out there, what was coming out, or what was already out that I didn't have access to or couldn't afford to get access to. So it was just another form of entertainment medium where, we were the minority of people that loved video games, and video games wasn't as popular, so it wasn't as widely spoken about, or you were the nerd in school, and so people really didn't talk to you about video games. So
yeah. As we jump around, as we're doing these community questions, or forgive the jumping around if that's what it seems like we're doing. None of us really had the time to kind of like organize these in a cohesive way, but that's just part of doing it. So let's jump to our next question. Do you think the holes in the plot of older games that you may otherwise find in a magazine generation more conversation than we have today? Do you think in games without narrative that is a factor that attracted storytellers or added to the community? So if we were to kind of condense this down, like if you're playing, what would be a good example? Maybe like Metroid or something like that. That didn't really have the plot explained to you because they didn't have the space on the cartridge or whatever to kind of flesh out the story. But like think of like the instruction manuals, like how if you really wanted to know the story was in the manual itself, or sometimes in like a magazine like this listener posted in. Like, do you think the plot holes in the games and then reading the instruction manual or the magazine about the story added to that, or what do you think, Jarrett?
So actually, if you've ever played Tunic, I think this is a fantastic example of that. So Tunic, Jay, do you know what Tunic is?
Nah, I'm not familiar.
Dude,
okay, Tunic is like a Zelda game. Okay, first off, I'm going to go ahead and do this. It has a God mode to where you can do it without damage. It's a roguelite. So you're meant to learn how to dodge and all these things, but you can just go to the accessibility and turn on invincibility and stuff like that, which is how I played it. So what it does is you go around and you look like a little fox Zelda creature, and they don't tell you anything about the game. They just tell you like you're reading this foreign language. You don't know what you're doing. You're just kind of wandering around, and you have to go kind of learn the world, and you pick up the manual. It's a video game that you're in, and as you go around, you collect pages to the manual. So the whole point of the game is to collect the pages to the manual, but the pages to the manual will tell you how to play the game. So it might be that you can't get into this door without knowing how the door works. Well, you don't know how it works until you get the manual. But here's the kicker. If you do a second playthrough of the game, you already know how to do it. You don't even have to have the page to the manual. So it's not like the manual unlocks key components to the game. You just already know how to play the game. So first off, it's a fantastic game. The storyline is phenomenal. But second off, like I feel like that's the same kind of concept of like you don't know how to do something, so you go to the manual, you go to a magazine, and you figure out how to do it, and then you take it back to the video game and you go, oh, well, now that I know how to do it, this is really easy to do. And then once you know that answer, you can tell your friends, you can tell your buddies, whatever, they don't have to have access to that manual. Or if you play that game another time, you already have that answer available to you. So it's the same concept.
It really brings that nostalgia back of playing
Wow.
an early
Uh-huh.
90s, late 80s, like Legend of Zelda. Like, you don't know what you're doing, and you're just kind of
Mhm.
figuring it out as you go, like you're saying. But it's super meta because you're in the game and you're collecting these pages to the manual. And when you look at them on the screen, like, it looks like it was ripped out of a manual book, and like it
With
teaches you how to do stuff.
handwritten notes.
Exactly. And like it's super creative and super like genius. And I can't believe I didn't think about Tunic when we're discussing stuff now, but like in the past as well. But like if the original Legend of Zelda was your jam, Tunic is that in spades. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm gonna
keep
have to check that
going.
out. That, I mean,
Yeah.
I was pulling it up while Jarrett was kind of running through the description of that, and that's pretty cool. That's interesting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So to piggyback off of that, I think that's a perfect example, and it absolutely does add to it. And even just kind of getting away from the Tunic example, like playing older games that you don't really know the story, even some newer games now, like, oh, I don't know, like Mega Man. Mega Man was really good about that. You just
Yep.
you don't know anything, and like unless you just like read the manual or
Yeah,
read a
you
magazine or
fought
whatever.
robots that looked like his friends.
Yeah,
At least
exactly.
it's what it seemed like to me.
Mm-hmm. Until like you did some digging and like some of that lore is like, oh well, this kind of makes a little more sense now. But like I think it really does, and I think it can kind of work both ways. Like even if you don't have access or you don't bother to read the instruction manual or the magazine,
Yeah,
you can
agreed.
kind of like let your imagination kind of like fill in the gaps as you go
Yep.
along or whatever.
Yeah, it's the mystery of
So
it.
yeah. So I think it does contribute in a meaningful way, but also without it, you don't really. I mean, you can just kind of do it yourself.
Right.
And Tunic is the same way. You could play Tunic without collecting a single page of that book, and you could beat the game without collecting a single page of the book. But there's different endings to that game based on how many pages you collect.
It's super clever. My God, that game is a 10 out
Oh
of
my
10 for
God.
sure. So Jay, you have
Yep.
anything to add to this particular question?
I mean, you brought up Mega Man. I mean, that was one of the things I was going to mention, or like why Bowser was so misunderstood. Take that for what you will. I mean, yeah, I think today games have cutscenes and lore videos and wikis, and it tells you everything that really you don't need to know, but it does kind of add another layer. Back then we were the ones building the lore. I felt like I was kind of creating it in my own imagination, with Mega Man. That was one of the examples I was going to use. And the creative guessing game, I had to pull a lot out of the writers and the artists, from that time. I don't know what they were thinking, just kind of like, hey, you're just going to side scroller. You're just going to run through here and just start shooting stuff, but it was fun.
So
We enjoyed it.
So let me pose this question to you specifically, Jay, because I would love your take on it. As an author, if you were to...
That's so weird, just so you know, by the way. I only started writing about 5 years ago, and I've had several people call me that, and I know this is derailing the conversation right now, but anyway, I'll take it, I guess. So yeah, go ahead. As an author,
so as an author, a big time author, if you were to create your own game, would you craft your game in the style of like how older games used to be, where it wasn't so handholdy with the narrative of the story, the lore of the story? Would you encourage your players and your audience base to kind of craft the lore as we did when we were growing up and take that older school approach to it? Or would you have the wiki pages and the long extended cutscenes and things like that?
That's a very tough question, because today's world is so much different. I don't think, yes, I long for a game that allows the player to, like what you were saying about Tunic, and I'm really interested in that. I think I really do want to download this game and play it. Learn it as you go. Maybe some things are explained a little bit as you play the game, and I think if I was going to create one, I would want to do that, but I don't know if this generation of younger players, I think it would be a fun game to create. I just don't think it would be successful. And maybe it would. Maybe there's going to be a time where this generation will will harken back to simplicity in a game, but I don't know. I mean, as of right now, I can't see it. So I think if I was going to create a game and I was going to create this world, I think I would want the wikis. I think I would want all of the lore to lay it out maybe at first, and then maybe let some things unfold deeper into the game. Maybe not have so much throughout the game, but maybe just more on the front end, just to set up the world. What do they call it? World building. Set it up to where, like, hey, there's this new concept. There's this new way to play this game. But I think maybe there's a happy medium in there. But I think if you just went old school and just said, hey, I'm going to create like a Mega Man game, that honestly makes no sense. But it was fun, right? We all enjoyed Mega Man. I can't imagine anybody that played it back then to have ever said, I didn't really like that game. I never met anybody that didn't like Mega Man. But now, I mean, I'm sure if I pulled the original version of that game out and said, Hayden, let's play some Mega Man. I don't know if it would hold his interest very long at all. Kind of a long-winded answer, but I mean, I think maybe there's a happy medium in there. I think we still have to kickstart this generation. I mean, with a game, I think there has to be some setup for it. I just don't think it would be successful any other way.
Yeah. What about you, Tedder? Let's just pass the question around. If like, how do you prefer, or how would you like to prefer your games if you had a say in it? Like open-ended, like Tunic, or more cinematic and narrative-driven, like that's given to you, like most of the games we play are.
I like cinematic. I don't want to hunt for the answer. Tunic was a rare case because of it had the God mode. I mean, there's several things. If I didn't have that God mode, I would not have played Tunic very long. If I would constantly, because I tried playing that game originally where you had to dodge, but enemies killing you in one hit, like I couldn't do it. So
that was a very
without that, without infinite health and all that stuff, I would not have played that game. Infinite magic, I wouldn't have played that game. And so I think it's the same thing. You start looking at these open world games, and they do a pretty good job. I think, Zelda Breath of the Wild was a good example for me, because you jump out and you've got this plateau, and they do a good job of breaking down information for you. You're going to start with this one weapon. You're going to use this one weapon. Let's cook an apple. Let's do this. And they give you very small snippets to get you engaged. But man, when they drop you in that big world and say, have at it, it's almost overwhelming to the point that it's crippling. So I think if you get dropped into a world where they don't tell you what to do, it's crippling. So, and maybe that's society that's trained us to be that way or not. I don't know. But
I do think the patience level of your average gamer now is very thin. I know we would get hung up. I mean, as a kid back in the 80s, I know I would get hung up on a mission, and I stayed there with it. And sometimes I would just leave the console on and hope that we never had a power outage or something. I would come back to it because it would just be, I mean, I remember those days of just like even Donkey Kong and some of those. It was nearly impossible to pause the game. I mean, you could hit start sometimes and it would, in some games it would do that. But yeah, I mean, the patience level now, it's just like, I can see people just saying, yep, done with this game, especially if it's on Game Pass. You didn't pay for it anyway. So it's just like, I'm moving on to something else. Kind of like what Jarrett was saying. If I have the option to enable God mode, just to, to get past that, it makes it more enjoyable, especially if you're into cinematics, kind of like myself. I do love a good story.
Yeah. Yep. Interesting. Okay. Very, very, very great question. Very thought-invoking question. I like that one a lot. Let's move on to the next one. In your opinion, what is the most impactful video game of all time? Jay, let's start with you.
I'm gonna drop a couple here. I think Halo Combat Evolved. I remember playing that the very first time, and I don't think it just launched a franchise. It was kind of like the definition of what a console shooter was going to be. I think at the time when I first played it, at least that's how I felt. Before Halo, it was just, it belonged to PCs, Unreal Tournament and all those games. And then Bungie dropped this masterpiece on Xbox. And then suddenly you have these massive open-ended environments, and you've got, what was it? Co-op campaigns, LAN parties. I mean, what happened to those things? Those were great. I think it changed how people played together and really set the tone for Xbox. They built a brand around that. I think you could argue that's Halo's what made Xbox what it is today. We've talked about that with in an early episode. But then, I would also venture to say that Half-Life was probably one of the most life-changing games I ever played, and scary too. But it just didn't really. That's another game that you get dropped into, and you really don't know what's happening. I don't know if you've got guys have played Half-Life, but when you walk into that facility, you just, on that train and all the momentum of it's like a movie. You have the credits that are rolling, who made the game, and it's doing all that while you're riding on the train.
Yeah,
I just remember, you can see things are just. It was surreal, and I do believe, when then of course everything breaks down and the portal opens. I didn't see that coming. I jumped out of whatever it was I was seated in. So, I think those were two of the most impactful games, at least in recent memory for me.
What about you, Jarrett?
I think childhood impact, it was definitely Final Fantasies. Just because it's kind of one of those, you got absorbed into this world that was different. It's kind of the same reason why, like, I'm a huge manga nerd and I'll read isekais all day long, because it's that whole, being dropped into a new fantasy world with these new, experiences, or these new powers or these new abilities that you level up with this character, and all these things, whether it's their past trauma or whatever, you put yourself in the shoes of the main character, and so you kind of absorb that and you become the main character. So for me, it was the Final Fantasy series, especially Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8. But it's very similar to Jay. Halo obviously was my first huge first-person shooter, to where I just become absorbed with Master Chief. And so, like, if people ask me what's my favorite number, I tell them 117. So, it's just kind of like you take on some of those. You take on some of those things to yourself. So
interesting. Speaking of Halo, did you see that they're getting a Campaign Evolved remaster?
Yes. Jarrett and I
That
were
looks
talking about that.
really good.
It's coming on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah. So when thinking about this question, it's hard because I wasn't really a Halo kid, but I do understand the impact that Halo had on the gaming community. So I think growing up, not really even growing up, because I was after high school and stuff, but Halo obviously had a good, significant impact. I recognize Final Fantasy's impact as well, even though I really didn't get into it until much, much later. I think I skipped all of them. And I think the first one I played was Final Fantasy 12. And that was my indoctrination into the series, because I just really fell in love with the series, with that title, with the story, with the combat system and things like that. But I think one that really just stands out to me would be the Devil May Cry series, but more specifically Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening. And not just because that series of games has just like in my opinion, one of the best storylines of all time, but it made you feel cool. Like, playing as Dante in that game made you feel really cool, because you had a sword and you had two pistols, and the way they did combat, it was very fast and very fluid and very engaging, and it had a rating system. Like, the better your combo, the more damage you did. Like, it went from like an F and like a D to C to B to A to S and double S, like, for how well you're comboing and you're performing in battle. And that all clocks in later when you finish a mission up into your overall score. And it just made you feel cool to execute these really cool combos and use all these different weapons that you can switch out and just engage in. But it was also super challenging too. So that, for me personally, was probably the most impactful video game of all time, outside of your standards like Mario and your Zeldas and things like that. But yeah. Anybody want to chime in with anything else? Impactful video games. Okay, so moving on to the next one. This one's going to center around game series questions. So for friends or even our community members that are new to a particular franchise, in your opinion, does the starting point matter? And if so, where are you recommending that they jump in? We'll start with Jarrett. Yeah, let's start with Jarrett.
Good, because I'd already... Yeah, so I think it really depends on the series. I think There are several series, like the Final Fantasy series does not go from game to game to game. So it's a new protagonist every single series episode. It's they don't really follow a storyline, so you could literally jump in anywhere. I think if you're talking about series that literally do episodal to where you have to recall information from previous games, then that's going to be very specific to the game itself. So if we say like, oh, you want to play this game, whatever, get video game X, whatever. Let's just Halo. Let's just jump back to Halo. Okay, if somebody said, "Hey, I want to start playing Halo," where do I start? As somebody that's played the franchise from the beginning, my automatic reaction is, well, you'd want to start at the beginning because you really want to follow the storyline. But realistically, I mean, you could jump in anywhere, especially when you get to like Halo 4. It doesn't even follow Master Chief's timeline, so. It's I think it's individual based on the game series. Otherwise, go to YouTube and watch the storyline update. Watch a 10 to 30-minute video instead of playing the entire game.
Okay, because I can't help myself. I'm new to the Final Fantasy franchise, Jarrett. Out of all the Final Fantasy games that are out there, where do you recommend that I start? What's the first one do you think I should begin with?
Okay, so if somebody comes up to me and asks me this question, I would say,
by the way, there's only one right answer.
What kind of games do you like?
Well, Final Fantasy 1, right? You start the game. This is coming from a guy that's not played one of them, so that's why it's funny.
I'm going to table this discussion for a more mature audience.
Right on.
So Jay, what do you got?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, there's probably so many of these. I do think that Halo is a really, really good example of a franchise that, I mean, I do think you could drop in anywhere on a Halo game, even Halo 3, because that's my favorite of all the Halo games. I don't think I really needed Halo 1 and 2. I mean, I do think it's important, but they do a pretty good job of recapping when you start a game. Really know how necessary that is. The Call of Duty series is much like that in the sense that sometimes they use some of those same characters, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary to have lived through all of the other games. I think Call of Duty probably works a little bit better than Halo, because with Halo you've got that central character outside of Halo 4, like Jarrett mentioned. Halo's got the tight gameplay, and you have an emotional story. There's an online experience that's there too, but I think by the time Halo 5 rolled around, it kind of lost its heart, and just in my personal opinion, overcomplicating the story, weird pacing. So I mean, yeah, I definitely would not start with Halo 5. That will ruin the whole experience for you.
So I do have a question. I'm not the most well-versed Halo individual, so this is kind of a genuine question. Jarrett and I have played marathoned a few of them in like one sitting. Those were the good old days. But I do know that Reach, was it Reach or was it ODST? It canonically speaking takes place before everything else. And if I remember right, Reach is referenced throughout the original trilogy every so often.
Yeah.
So if you had
too.
Yeah. So if you had to wipe Halo from your memory and come into it fresh again, would you go back and play Reach first?
So this is like asking someone, what order do you watch the Star Wars movies in? I would say, I would probably say I would want to play Reach first. Just because it's not really there, it's not spoilerific. You know what I mean? Like Star Wars, there's a lot of spoilers there. If you just go back and watch episode 1 first, I mean, it's going to ruin some of the future episodes. But Reach to me was probably my favorite Halo game ever. And the end of it is so, and the music that plays, I don't know if you guys remember the end of it, but you just fight and you fight and you fight until you die. I mean, there's no way to win the game, because if you've read the book, and I was really big into Halo. I loved Halo. The Fall of Reach, I think, was the name of the book, maybe.
Yes.
And what a great book. It tells that story of just the attack, and I forget what they call it, like glassified the planet or something like that. Haven't played that in so long, but wow, what a game. Gives me chills thinking about the end of that game. I would start there.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would start with Reach and just play Halo 1 all the way out.
So the only argument I have to that is I think what made Reach so impactful was you already had an emotional connection to the Spartans and to the Marines and to that world.
Right.
So after having you will not have that emotional connect to you. It's just a war game. It would just be like you going playing Call of Duty. You're shooting aliens. To have that emotional connection to these characters that are jumping down and these Spartans that are killing everything and trying to save this base that is on Reach. I think you have to have an emotional connection to Master Chief and Cortana and what he's doing to protect them. So I would not say start with Reach just because it wouldn't have the same impact.
Interesting.
But
I agree with
it's
that
not,
too. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Interesting.
can you? Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know,
That's
also at the
very
end of Reach too. I mean, I hate to drop spoilers, but the game is so old. If you haven't played it by now, shame on you. But at the end of it, where you get just that little glimpse of Master Chief, it's on the
Right.
It's not the helicopter, whatever they call it in Halo.
Pelican.
The Pelican.
The
Yeah.
Pelican.
It just for a brief moment, you look over and you can see Master Chief
Mhm.
is in there, and I just thought, oh, this is so good. So you're probably right. Yeah. Now that I think about some of the ending to it, it might be better to wait on Reach just to
Mhm.
play it somewhere else
Interesting.
and inside the.
Yep.
When did that come out? Was that after 3? Or was that
13?
I
after
want
4?
to say that was in between 2 and 3.
Between 2 and 3?
I think it was
2010.
definitely was it 2010? It was a 360
Uh-huh.
release for sure.
Because I would still say that Halo 3 is probably it's very close to Reach. Those two games are probably my favorite.
Halo 3 was 2008.
So it came out after the trilogy. Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because I did a midnight release my senior year of high school.
As you should.
Uh-huh. Or 2007.
Yeah. So
Yep,
for
2007.
me, if I'm trying to recommend, if someone's new to the franchise, as far as jumping in points, I think it's dependent. Like you guys, I think we're in agreement that it just depends on the series. Like Final Fantasy, I mean, while there is only one correct answer as to where you should start, it really doesn't matter unless you're playing like 13, and which is a part of its own trilogy, right? You don't play Lightning Returns without playing
Mhm.
13 first,
Yeah.
which that trilogy gets undeserved hate in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there. Or like the Final Fantasy VII remake trilogy that they're working on now. You obviously don't play part 2 without playing part 1, and it just kind of depends. As far as like the prequel question that I posed to you guys about Halo concerning Reach, I think. Obviously, if the prequel comes out after the mainline entries, then you can't play it until after it comes out, right? But if I'm coming into a series fresh and there is all of the story there, but released at different times, I would probably want to start and recommend someone to start with the prequel. Like with when I started the DMC series, the Devil May Cry series, I started with 3, with Dante's Awakening, because that was the prequel to 1 and 2. And then 4 and all that stuff. So it kind of it fleshed out the story of why these brothers are in such eternal conflict with each other, and it kind of gave more depth to that, so you kind of understood what was going on a little bit better in 1 and 2, even though he wasn't really present in 2. But I think it's very series related. Legend of Zelda is another weird one. For that one, it would just strictly, if I'm recommending somebody a Legend of Zelda game, I would have to recommend probably a favorite, and that would it would be a tie between A Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time. And just from there, the question would veer into, are you more of a classic like 16-bit person, or do you like more 3D games? And that answer would vary from there. So that's just my opinion on all that stuff. And I think this actually bridges into this next question pretty gracefully. As players ourselves, do we have to know a story in and out to enjoy it? Or could you start on a second entry of a franchise with no reservation, or do you need all context to step in? Jay, what do you think?
Well, I think you can. I think some franchises allow you to do that. For example, Red Dead. I think that you can start just about anywhere in the franchise and enjoy it for what it is. It is nice. I mean, they do some callbacks to, the very first, what was it, Revolver? Which, I don't even remember that game. I know I played it. And it was just an okay game, maybe because it wasn't that memorable until Red Dead Redemption came out. But I remember playing that, and then Red Dead 2. I could honestly enjoy playing Red Dead 2 without having played Red Dead Redemption. I mean, it's cool to have that knowledge from the original game, or I guess the sequel, before you play the third entry. I guess I don't know. I mean, Revolver really is the original game, right?
Yes.
I have no clue.
But I don't know if you guys have really messed with the Redemption series, but I mean, you can play the second or the third entry, and I don't think it's really going to matter whether you've played the original Revolver game.
Mhm.
But I think that's a good. I mean, in my personal experience, I think it's a good example of a franchise you can jump in, but not really knowing anything. That was your
Mhm.
question, right? Can you jump
Yeah,
into
so-
a franchise that doesn't necessarily mean you have to have played or know anything about the first one?
Right. And I think it's kind of a two-way question too. Like, for you personally, do you need to know a story in and out to be able to enjoy it?
I don't.
As far as where
Yeah.
you jump in.
No, I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
if I do, if I'm 15 minutes, 20 minutes into the game, something completely new that I have never played before, I'm gonna jump on YouTube and get some kind of background, or go to the
Do your homework.
game's website, and just
Yeah.
pull some information or a wiki just to kind of give me an idea of, oh, okay, this is what's going on. This is the
Yeah.
backstory. Because I'm like with Jared, I do like a cinematic game now. I don't think I always used to be that way. I think the Wing Commander series in the 90s is what really did that for me, because there were a lot of cinematics in that game, and I had never seen anything like that. I mean, it was one DVD, and then
Mhm.
you had to put in another DVD. I mean, it was like a 3 DVD pack to play
Yeah.
that game, and because of the cinematics, they were just putting movies on there. But yeah, I mean, I think getting back, to not derail the question, I do think that for me personally, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter, and if it does, I'm gonna hunt it up.
Mm-hmm. For me personally, I think because I don't like not knowing, I think I need to be able to know what's going on. So, like, if I'm starting a series, I really need to start it from the beginning. And if I hear awesome things about the 5th entry in the series, but I haven't played 1 through 4, I need to go back and experience it from the beginning, just so I can have a better appreciation of it overall, in my opinion. What about you, Jarrett?
I'm with Jay. I mean, let's say like this Outer Worlds 2 that just came out. Like, I would love to jump into it, but I didn't beat Outer Worlds 1, so I don't know the storyline or where they're at. So, I mean, I'll start the game to see if they give me a synopsis. But if they don't, and I have no clue what's going on, it's very distracting for me to go in there and be like, why does it matter? What is this turf war between these factions, whatever? Like, it's very frustrating. So I'll have to go back and actually figure out, okay, why are we fighting within these factions? Or do they explain that in the first series or all? But at the same time, there's series like, Diablo series. You don't have to play any of the previous series to know or to jump into Diablo 4. You don't have to you don't have to care about Lilith. Lilith's coming to destroy the stuff, and there's demons. You need to go fight the demons. Like, that's all that matters. You don't have to know that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now I like knowing, but you don't have to. It's not necessary.
Sure. So, changing it up just a little bit, we're going to kind of start involving our wives in these questions a little, not like physically, like have our wives here, but kind of like incorporate them in a little bit. So, since our wives have stated that they are competitive, and I'm assuming that's from their invasion episode that they did, do you think that our kids will inherit that? And Jay, did your kids inherit that trait, if that's a thing that exists? Do kids cite your frustrations when you try to mentor them about their frustrations while gaming?
You want me
Let's
to take
start with
this
Jay,
one?
since
Okay.
take that one first. Yeah.
Well, yes, I was extremely highly competitive myself, and I'll use Unreal Tournament as a good example. When back in the 90s, when PC gaming was rock solid, that's what everybody did that played online, and I was a big online player then. I'm not so much now, but it was about winning all the time. How many times can I destroy you, and then get that high ranking score? Because that was, growing up in the 80s, that was the big thing, was high scores. When you came in to the arcade, you wanted to see who was sitting on top, and Unreal kept up with that. It kept up, I guess, globally. I don't think it always was that way, but eventually it got to that point with how many kills you had, or kill streaks. And Jessica's probably not that competitive with gaming. I mean, she's not into it like I am, but I think if she does it, it's just a pastime more than it is being competitive. However, now our kids, Hayden is very competitive. He plays online all the time. And I can hear him from his room. He gets very angry when he gets his butt handed to him. But I mean, he screams when it's favorable for him. I've never been that. Okay, I have said a few choice words at the monitor or at the people on the other side. That what were the games where it would show you the kill cam?
Call of Duty.
Was that the first Call of Duty games when they eventually?
I think so.
I think that was
it. It wasn't just the first one, but yes.
I remember.
Quake,
that was one of the things I hated about the game. I honestly hated it because if I was camping and oh my gosh, see, Unreal Tournament, I could camp and no one would ever know where I was. And that's what made it so special. So that made it the competitive nature of finding a spot that's yours, that no one knows where you are, and you're just whacking people left and right. But now with the kill cam, when they started that, you just couldn't do that anymore. You had to be creative. So yeah, Hayden definitely, but he's definitely inherited that. But I'm not like that anymore. I choose not to play online anymore because it is not the same. When we first started playing these games, I mean, the cheating was almost impossible. No one really knew how to. I mean, it was just until people figured out how to drop an aimbot into a PC game, and then it was just obliterating everybody with your name attached to it.
Yeah.
So it was cheating in its rawest form. But then, I mean, now that's the reason why, I mean, I don't play, because now with all the cross-play, when you're playing with PC gamers that can invade the code and can cheat, it loses its fun factor. I'm more of a campaign guy. I love story. I'm still competitive. I still want to win. I still want to take out the computer, and its minions.
Yeah. My wife is very competitive, and I am too. And we can start a game of Mario Party or Mario Kart as friends and happily married couple, but that can quickly devolve and become unpretty very quick. But I absolutely believe that Noah is going to inherit that competitive trait. And I've already told Nicole this, and I'll say it here live in front of our viewers, that when it's time for my son to play his first game of Mario Kart, there is no gonna take it easy on you, kiddo. You're gonna get bodied into space and time. And we're gonna learn this the right way, I guess. So I think he's absolutely gonna get that competitive trait, because it's just so prevalent in his parents. It just comes out in different ways. I'm not an online multiplayer person anymore as much. Every now and then I'll hop on and play Marvel Rivals, or for some strange reason try to play Fortnite, or something like that, or like Warzone. And I really want to try Battlefield 6's new Battle Royale, free-to-play Battle Royale thing. I'm really tempted to download that and to give it a try, just for the killing time type thing. But I'll get that way with like campaign-based stuff. Just yesterday I was playing, and even earlier today I was playing Enter the Gungeon, and I just got to like a new post-game level, and I was I had a really good loadout, and I was really close to getting to the boss room, and I died by user error, by an ill-timed dodge, and I got super fresh. I'm still actually kind of mad about that, but there it is. So anyway, there's that. So what about you, Jarrett?
So I am not a competitive person, but I get very frustrated with video games, and it's not it's not, how do I say this? When I don't feel like it's black and white, when I don't feel like justified in my death, that's where I get frustrated. Like, if I fall off the cliff because of some stupid mistake I made, then fine. But if I jumped and my character did not respond to that jump, or I didn't tell him to jump and he jumped because of some other reason, then I get very frustrated. And that's, I think mine's more anger towards stupid stuff like that rather than competitiveness. Now, Ellen, she's competitive. So honestly, there's a 50-50 chance. I don't know. I mean, I bet he's gonna get frustrated. He gets frustrated now, and he's like today. He had a tennis ball outside, and we took the tennis ball away from him, and he got very frustrated. And he's very vocal about his frustrations. So I can see him being very frustrated about video games, whether it's competitive or whether it's he gets slight anger issues from me, whatever it may be. Who knows?
Mm.
But
Mm.
I'm sure we will have to take care of that at some point.
There you go. We're getting kind of towards the back end of the episode. I just want to, we'll go over 2 more questions and then we'll start bringing it on home. So the next question is going to delve away from video games a little bit, and we're going to venture into the realm of board games, which is still nerdy for those of you guffawing. So for board games, what games are you excited to play with your children, or do you already play board games with your children? Jay?
Well, I mean, we weren't really board game family. I mean, we did play some of the generic ones like Sorry, Chutes and Ladders, Monopoly. When the kids got older, that one always turned into a frenzy because it dealt with money, and sometimes the kids would get really upset, or they would cheat. I mean, and then the game would just fall into oblivion. But yeah, Sorry, Chutes and Ladders. I think for us, it became more about card games, believe it or not. We like sitting around the table playing, Texas Hold'em or poker or something, I mean, we would just or just war, simple games, or card tricks even. But that, I think, I can't even remember the last time we played a board game. It's been a hot minute.
About you, Tedder?
My family is not typical board game people. My brother's a huge board game enthusiast. And then Ellen's family is big card game people. So, as far as what games we'll do, he'll get plenty of card games from Ellen's side of the family. We are big D&D people though, so he'll have to learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons. He'll have to create his character. We have a board game that has basically like preloaded characters, and they have preloaded stats and moves and stuff like that. So it's very beginner friendly, very introductory. I think, did we play it with you, Chris?
I don't think we've played that yet.
Okay. Well, you walk down, you can choose to just do a straight path, or you can do these optional side paths. And so it's a pretty quick game. It's anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. And so that one's fun. Of course, he's got the entire Dungeons and Dragons like junior books, so he'll be exposed to all of that. That's kind of our big shtick though. As far as board games, like we have several board games and we'll play them, but we don't typically break them out on a Friday night. I think we're more apt to do a video game or movie night than we are to do a board game night.
Gotcha. Growing up, my family wasn't a big board game person. We would play. My mom really liked playing Scrabble and Pictionary, things like that. We might play a card game every now and then, like poker or something like that, but nothing crazy. It was not until that Nicole and I got together and we got married that we became real big board game folks and card game folks, and like we have a standing collection of Monopoly games, different editions of Monopoly. It's wild, and it's kind of embarrassing to admit how many we have. But this whole closet back here is about 70% board games. Like, you got your Monopolies, your Sorry, your Pictionary, all kinds of different things, dominoes, chess, checkers, Uno, like all the different kinds of Uno that are out there. And even off the wall ones, like there's a card game called Ramen Fury, which is really fun to play. It's a card game. You just build your own bowls of ramen and you get points off of it and things like that. It's pretty fun. A lot of these games you can find at your local game stores, your local comic shops, and things like that. Munchkin is a really good little RPG card game type thing, and all that kind of stuff. And we're so into that kind of stuff that we have a family night once a week on Wednesdays where we have dinner with her parents, and we either go over there or they come over here and we cook and eat. And then we either play something like Phase 10 or Dominoes. Dominoes is real popular around these parts, or Uno or something like that, just to kind of pass the time. And it's just a lot of fun. But yeah, so I'm excited to kind of introduce Noah to those things like Monopoly and all that. So it's going to be really good times and all that stuff. So here's our last question for the evening, and I want to set it up with a simple yes or a no or a sometimes. Do you ever watch video game playthroughs like on YouTube or anything like that?
Yeah, for me,
Yeah.
always with commentary.
Always with commentary. So
yeah, I
that
mean,
was going to be the next part of the question.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the creator, or the influencer, streamer, whatever you want to call them. I like it when it feels like they're just kind of there with you, and not just screaming for clicks type of thing.
Right.
For games that I'm just too chicken to play, and a lot of these later Resident Evil games, I mean, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna download that game and play it, but I'll watch someone else go through it. I like when they talk through what they're feeling. That shared tension makes it more fun. So it's like watching a scary movie with friends.
I love watching game playthroughs on YouTube, and I really the times that I do it is like if I'm doing chores around the house, or if I'm hanging out with Noah, like feeding him, or babysitting him, or trying to get him to go to sleep. I'll just throw it on the TV or on my phone and put my headphones in and just watch my favorite X, Y, or Z streamer play different types of games I've played before, just to watch them do playthroughs of it, or unique games that I may not ever play, but they're streaming or whatever, so I'll watch their commentary on that. I like watching them play, like they'll play like Dark Souls, but like it'll be a randomizer where they input different things, and like they start with different items, or they fight different bosses when they're not really supposed to, or whatever. And like there was a Resident Evil 4 run that I watched. It was a randomizer, but like as he was playing like in the village area, he was encountering enemies that you wouldn't get to until much later in the game, or things like that. And then another one I do enjoy watching is Awesome Games Done Quick. It's a it's a video game speed running charity event. They raise money for like Doctors Without Borders and things like that. So I really enjoy watching things like that, and them speed running some of my favorite games or whatever. So absolutely with commentary all the time. So there it is on that. So we do have more questions, but we're kind of... Oh, I'm sorry, Jarrett, go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
No,
Jeez.
it's fine. Fine.
Go for it.
I mean, I'm the same way. No, I'm the opposite of y'all. I don't do commentary. If I'm wanting to watch a playthrough, I don't want to listen to somebody else do the playthrough. I want to experience the game, and I want to experience the storyline of the game. I don't necessarily want to listen to their Chick-fil-A order and watch them eat while they're playing the game. So if I'm watching a gameplay, then I'm doing it without commentary. Now, if I'm doing like Chris, you were saying the Awesome Games Done Quick, or Games Done Quick, I'll watch that with commentary, because I like them to explain what they're doing. Because a lot of the glitches that they use to go quicker, I want them to explain how they came up with that, or why they do it that way, or whatever. And if I'm watching something on Twitch, like if I have somebody that I'm watching to watch somebody, then yes, I'll do it with commentation. But if I'm just watching, I want to see this cinematic, or I want to see this storyline, I'm doing it without commentary. I don't want to listen to them.
Yeah, makes sense.
But that's me personally. So,
well, Chris disappeared.
Nice. No,
Bye,
I'm right
Chris.
here.
no, I think he's grabbing Noah.
My son was very vocal. I think he wanted to hang out with me, so I'm bringing him in. Cameo appearance. Here we go.
Wow.
That's the back of his...
Someone thinks
tail
highly of
head.
themselves.
There we go. Oh, look at this boy. Hey, you're famous now.
Hi,
So
buddy.
let's, we do have other questions from the community, but we're kind of in a time crunch here, so we're going to save those and table those for a different episode. So let's talk future of gaming daddies, boys.
Yeah, so the biggest thing is, kind of looking at, this is
burp,
episode
son.
number 10, and we're looking at, kind of what the future of gaming days looks like. And we've kind of found a better pacing between ourselves, and I think our chemistry is starting to get a lot better, and we're getting more consistent with it. So now it's just a matter of coming up with episode ideas, seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work. So some of the suggestions that we've kind of had is doing a generational top 10. So like ranking top 10 PS1 games, PS2 games, or
Mhm.
whatever, and having an episode per generation. Not really like
Yeah.
a flat, hey, let's just do a top 10 in general, but actually breaking down, hey, this is an Xbox top 10, or, maybe even provide some, fan favorites that maybe aren't top 10 or whatever. So, um,
Mhm.
how do y'all feel about that? Is that something that y'all are interested in,
That
or
would be great. I would love it. I mean, now some of the
I like
consoles
that.
I may not be able to participate in because I wasn't really I had the
sure?
PlayStation 1, so I could help you there.
Mhm.
Hmm.
But I mean, I just
Yeah.
haven't had very many consoles, but I could
What we
research,
could do What we could do is look at other gaming websites' top tens, and IGN
Okay.
comes to
Exactly.
mind. They've been posting their top 10 or whatever for each console or generation. We can kind of like run through their list and kind of commentate on that, whether we agree or disagree
Sure.
or whatever, and see how that goes.
Okay. Another future idea, and also, looking at us doing this every week is a very big time commitment, and not
Uh-huh.
every week do we all have schedules that align perfectly.
Mhm.
So, one of the things that we threw around was having a husband and wife episodes, and then so like Chris would be with Nicole, or Jay and Jessica, or me and Ellen, and that would give the other host kind of a weekend off or some time to have a day night or whatever, while also still having some good content and good discussions, especially with our wives about, kind of our own household traditions or things that we do with ourselves, or games we play together, or whatever it is, you know. Um, so that's a thought. Jay, especially with you and Jessica, is that something Jessica would be interested in? Would she be more willing to
Maybe.
do that?
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on how we put the script together, and I could talk to her about it to see if that's something. And I also think that we could probably get some guests on here from the community
Sure.
to join
Mhm.
us, the three of us and them. We could have 4 people or 5 people on here at once to discuss some things, or just one of us and them in
Mhm.
future episodes. So
Yeah.
we could really vary this up and make it interesting.
Sure.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, and then well, we talked about it last week, but the wife takeover went over extremely well. A lot of people really loved the wife takeover, and they brought some really great viewpoints. They brought, a different side of it that we don't normally talk about. And a lot of people were like, "Well, but I don't really enjoy video games." It was like maybe 10% of the episode was them talking about video games. 90% of it was them talking about, their experiences with the child, or kind of their experiences handling us and our video game obsession. But it really wasn't about them playing video games. So a lot of people liked that fresh perspective, as well as, getting different ideas and even just seeing different faces. So
Mhm.
now it's kind of a, how frequently do we want that to occur? Because and probably takeover is not the right word, um, but how frequently?
Special
Because
edition.
yeah, is it kind of one of those, like, we want to do it very rarely, or is it something that we want to get them more involved to be in? Do we have an opinion, or do
Uh,
we want to just give this over to the community and see what they think?
I say toss it to the community and see
Yeah,
what they think. They're the ones that really enjoyed it.
sure. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
community, if you want to give us some comments or some ideas, let us know how frequently you would like to see that. And it would kind of be a them only. It wouldn't be, none of the gaming daddies would be in a wife takeover episode. So that would be different than a wives and husbands episode.
Mhm.
And also on the wives and husband episode, we might just do all 6 of us if we want to get all 6 of us together.
Mhm.
It'd be a pretty chaotic episode, but we might try to make that work somehow. But the wife takeover would be, there would be no the 3 of us would not be in that episode at all. It would just be the wives. Um,
Yeah.
and then maybe later we could do a kid takeover. It depends on how long we're doing a podcast.
Yeah, I may be able to get Hayden even on this at some point, since
Sure.
he's a big
Oh,
time
that'd be
gamer.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get like older kid perspectives and things like that. So even
Mhm.
if Jessica didn't want to do that, you could probably have some of your kids on or whatever.
Sure.
That'd be kind of cool too.
One of
So
the
looking at your
suggestions from the Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, one of the suggestions from the community was to do a split attention game, to be where we have a host that asks questions while we play games. So we'd actually be playing live. We'd be playing a game on the air, and then while we're playing a game, we would do they would ask us random questions and we'd have to answer that question while still playing the game. So we'd have to split our attention to the game as well as asking the
Oh my
questions or
gosh,
answering
I'm
the
going to
questions.
stink at that. I'm just going to tell you now. I played a ton of Assassin's Creed today, and some of that stuff I have to be right on top of that if I'm invading a castle or something. So would this be a multiplayer game? The three of us are playing the same game together while we're
I would
answering questions, or
Yeah,
that
so
work?
it'd be something co-op-y.
Okay.
Maybe
Party game
something
like
more like
Jackbox.
or arcadey.
Yeah, arcadey.
Maybe not Jackbox. Um,
Jack in the Box.
some or
Yes, we're gonna go
like
play at the
Mario Party.
Yeah.
Something where it's like it does take your attention to play, but at the same time, like it doesn't drain your attention. So anyway, but that's probably gonna have to wait because the current program we're using does not support streaming very well. So as we've experienced in the past when I tried to screen a video and it did not like that very well. So anyway, that's something to think about later. And then we need to talk about frequency of episodes and holiday episodes or time off. Chris, what were you going to say a while ago?
So I was looking at your episode ideas list, and I just kind of thought of some random ones that came to mind, like different, stuff that would just kind of just be different to do. We could do like a debate episode,
Okay.
where we can just all like come in and just debate on something. And I don't like, because I'm sure like you have it listed later on with themed episodes, and I see that Final Fantasy is one of them. And
See, that's the one that I need to be the host, and let you two guys just duel that one out.
Exactly, you got to have duke it out moments.
Well, and honestly, I even talked about like, if we needed to, like somebody couldn't be there, like for that week that I was sick, y'all could have done a Half-Life episode because I've never played any of the Half-Life games. So I'm not going to add to that episode at all. But but we could do it where the person that it seems the most, or the person that volunteers to do it could be the neutral host that has no commentation about it, but they're just there to guide the questions. We could do it that way.
And with our and again, this is looking a little bit further into the list that you have here, which I'm not going to take away from, but like we can rank games in a particular series or whatever, and kind of like they have sites where you can like put them in different tiers, like S tier, A, B, C, D, or whatever, and like we can sit here and like rank different games in a series, and like we can debate that, and I think that would be interesting conversation as we have to decide as a trio where this game is going to go or whatever. So
sure.
Anyway, moving on.
And then we can create some rules later on with that. And then, of course, frequency of episodes. Right now we're doing, just because it's so fresh, we're doing weekly episodes. And I think for most of us, and I could be wrong, but I think our schedules are about to kind of open up a little bit more. So especially as we get into a little bit of an off season, and then, of course, spring is also busy, but it's not the same kind of busy that I feel like we just had for the past 7 weeks. So I don't think the weekly episodes are going to be as big of an issue, but if they are, how does the community feel about doing bi-weekly episodes, or is it like, would this kind of, is the weekly episodes really what you're looking forward to, and having that consistency? And then, looking at those episodes and even doing holiday episodes or time off during the holidays. Like this, we did the Halloween episode where we did the special, spooky games. If we could do one of two things. We could either do a special holiday episode and record at a different time, or we can do like, take that day off, just kind of asking the community what they think. But going back to what Chris was saying about ranking, one of the things that we popped through the ideas is, ranking holiday candy or ranking holiday foods.
I like that.
And then going through family holiday traditions, with Thanksgiving coming up, like you said, what's our S tier Thanksgiving dinner? And then cranberry sauce needs to be F tier. So
we're about to fight. I like that a lot. I especially like the special holiday themed episodes. I think as far as like as time off is concerned, I didn't mind recording that episode early. I think that's cool. That way we're still getting content to our viewers and our listeners.
Mhm.
That way they have something to look forward to. But I also think that every now and then just taking the week off and just taking the break, I think we have a community that that really enjoys us and that really understands that sometimes we just need the week off or whatever. So I don't think
Yeah.
there's a lose there.
Okay. Well, those are just kind of some of the ideas. Community, if you want to kind of chime in, let us know what you think about them. If there's one of those that you really loved, or if one of those that you were just like, yeah, honestly, I would not be interested in that, by all means, give a comment, leave a comment, or feel free to reach out to us. You're welcome to email us at gamingdaddiespodcast@gmail.com, or reach out to us just through comments or Spotify. And then, of course, our other methods of communication. By all means, please join Patreon. We'd love to get Discord up and going. I don't feel like we're very on top of Discord as it is right now, but that's our plan in the future, is to jump into Discord and kind of keep that as an active engagement for the community. Well,
Yeah,
so,
and
anyway.
we'll be much more active on our socials, but understandably, it's been a very busy several weeks and what has felt like an eternity. So, but now that things are winding down seemingly and opening back up, we should have a stronger social media presence, I feel like, and I think that we can agree on that. So,
Yeah.
look out for that.
So, all right, guys, anything else to add?
Been a
Another
fun
good
one.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, another good one.
Yeah.
Look at there.
Agreed. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks for hanging out with us today on this episode of Gaming Daddies. Don't forget, you can catch the audio episode on podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want the full video version, head over to youtube.com/Gaming Daddies and join the fun. If you'd like to support the show and help us to take it to the next level, consider joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Gaming Daddies. Big shout out to our amazing supporter, Sean Donahue. We appreciate you and couldn't do it without
Thank
it.
you, Sean.
Until next time,
Yes.
this has been Gaming Daddies, and we'll see you in the game.
Peace out, Cub Scouts.